We a couple of weeks since we've been able to come to you live. We let me think. 2 weeks ago, the radio station was out. There was a storm that came through and it knocked the power out and did a lot of things here to the station, and we just were not able to make a broadcast 2 weeks ago. Then last Sunday, I just wasn't feeling well, so I was feeling poor enough where I did not come in. But I'm here today, and I appreciate you tuning in, and I thank you. And I still look forward to all the calls that I get and the emails and the text and all those things. Appreciate all that. My name is Steve Baisden. This program is being brought to you by your friends with the Church of Christ, located at 3816 West Fountain Road, Ludington, Michigan 49431. Now, we meet there every Sunday morning at 10:30 for Bible study and at 11:30 for church worship every Sunday morning. Everybody's invited. Come on out. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to study with you. We'd love to pray with you. Come on out and visit with us. We'd just absolutely love that. Leave your money at home. Bring your hearts. Bring your thinking caps. Bring your Bibles. And if you don't have a Bible, we'll give you one for free. Best deal in town. You cannot beat it. My phone number is 231-425-6044. That's 231-425-6044. This morning, I want to talk to you about a Christian's responsibility during times of necessity when physical reactions may become an only option in our lives. God does not expect us to be pacifist. He doesn't expect us to be the Amish. You cannot find the Amish in the Bible. It's non-existent. It doesn't exist. The idea of pacifism comes from a diluted, watered-down gospel of Jesus Christ. It comes from a view of ignorance. I don't know how else to say it. People who know how Jesus did things, how the apostles did things, what was taught, when you know those things, then you start to understand how the Bible teaches us. And the reason I say it and the reason I'm opening it up this way is because we find passages in the Bible, for example, Matthew chapter 5, turn the other cheek. Somebody strikes you on the cheek, you turn to him and you offer him the other cheek. And so from this, people automatically say, oh, we can't hit anybody. We got to turn the other cheek. And if somebody busts us in the face, we just got to stand there and take it. No. It's not what Jesus is saying here. We're going to get into this in just a few moments. But just for terms of illustration, now let me also take you to some other passages where Jesus, like in Matthew chapter 23, would clean out the temple. He would overturn the money changers. He chased them out with whips and with cords. When Jesus would tell his disciples, sell your garments and buy a sword. Does that sound like he's saying turn the other cheek there? Well, did Jesus lie? Did Jesus make a mistake? Which one was he telling the truth? Was he telling the truth when he told his disciples to buy a sword, or did he tell the truth when he's told his disciples to turn the other cheek? Because there's a contradiction here. There's a problem here. Now, here's what usually happens. Usually, people will pick and choose which one they want to respect. Well, I like this one. This is much nicer. This is much softer. This is much kinder. This is much gentler. They want to be so kind. They want to be so gentle. They want to be so loving. They want to be so forgiving. They want to be so merciful that they want to do so more than God. And that's where they go. They don't want to understand the Bible as it was intended to understand. Now, there's grammatical rules and laws, and there's things that we can get into, but just to put it real simply, God is able to qualify himself. And what does this mean? The laws or the rules of hermeneutical qualification. If God said, I want you to do something, let's going to church as an example. Hebrews 10:25. Don't forsake the assembling of ourselves together. Don't miss church. It's a commandment. He said, don't do it. Don't forsake the assembling. Even though everybody in the world thinks it's okay to do it. And they go to Matthew chapter 18 and they say, well, we're 2 or 3 gathered together in thy name. I'm in the midst of them and there's me and my husband here. And therefore, no, and again, no. That's been taken out of context. Matthew 18, where Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name. He's talking about there when you have a problem with a brother and there's a dispute. And you're going to talk to your brother about this wrong that he wronged you in. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in that scenario. You remember Jesus is in the middle of that problem. He is in the middle of that situation. Don't forget, how would you act if Jesus was sitting between you and the person you're having a problem with? Would you react the same, or would you actually be a little bit more careful on how you address the issue? That's Matthew 18. So, let's get back to it. Don't forsake the assembling of the saints. That's the law. That's the rule. But what if you're sick? Oh, well, if you're sick, you can't make it. You think God understands that? Sure he does. That's Matthew chapter 12. If your ox is in a ditch, who on the Sabbath day is not going to go pull him out of the ditch? Now, the law taught that you could do no work on the Sabbath day. But Jesus illustratively is saying, who on the Sabbath day wouldn't pull their ox out of the ditch? Who would have their ox sit in that ditch all day and wait 24 hours until the next day and jeopardize the life of that ox because it's the Sabbath? No one. They would all pull the ox out of the ditch on the Sabbath. Jesus said, well, don't you know you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath? But there's something here that's overriding this principle. There's a qualification here. If you have a serious problem where you've got to do something on the Sabbath, well, then you've got to do it. You think God understands that? Certainly he does. This is called the laws of qualification. If God said, don't you forsake the assembling of yourselves together, don't miss church, and you're on the way to church, you get in a car accident, your ox is in the ditch. You can't make it. God understands that. In other words, you're excused. Why? Because you got into an accident. Your ox is in the ditch. It's the same principle with everything in the Bible. Everything in the Bible has qualifications. So when Jesus said, turn the other cheek, and then he said, go buy a sword, he's not contradicting himself. He's explaining things more thoroughly. He's giving more information about how can both these statements be true. Let's get into that right now. In Matthew chapter 5, Jesus is having a conversation. In fact, it's the first sermon that Matthew records. Jesus comes out of the wilderness wandering. He begins preaching the gospel, and he begins with the Beatitudes. And he starts with the very first beatitude. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the poor in spirit. What Jesus is doing right from the onset, right from the beginning of this lesson, he is teaching them about spiritual truths and spiritual understandings that the Jews were refusing to accept. The Jews were taking everything in the law and they were making it carnal. They were making it fleshly. They were making it worldly, physical. Jesus is correcting their misapplication of all those old covenant teachings all throughout Matthew chapter 5. That's what he's doing. Blessed are the pure in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Yeah, you know, if you're meek, then you're going to inherit the earth. You're going to own everything in the world. All the gold is yours, all the banks is yours, all the car, you're going to inherit it. It's going to be yours. Do you think that's what he means here? Or do you think this earth here may be something of a more spiritual nature? Yeah. In fact, later on in Matthew chapter 5, verse 18, he would say, Verily, till heaven and earth pass, not one jot or tittle of the law shall cease till all be fulfilled. That's the old covenant law there. He said, till heaven and earth pass, the old covenant law, every jot and tittle of it remains in force. But friends, if you look around you, if you look outside your window right now, if you look down at your feet right now, you'll see heaven and earth physically is still here. But Jesus said, until it goes away, we're still under every jot and tittle of the old law. How is that? Well, if you're thinking of it physically, it's impossible because the old law is gone. We're not under the law of Moses. Moses is not my lawgiver. Moses did not die for me. That old law is gone. It's in the past. Now we're under the Christian age or era. It's eternal. Christ died for me. I'm a Christian. I'm under the gospel. I'm not under the laws of Moses. So this heaven and earth idea is not physical, although the Jews were making everything physical, and that's why Jesus is explaining these things. And by the way, everybody I know, and I'm saying this in a generalized sense, everyone I know takes the gospel and they apply words and phrases like heaven and earth and they make it physical, and they're making the exact same mistake that the Jews made. Heaven and earth here, and in most places of the Bible, may I add, is referencing the place where God is, God's world with his people, and God is a spirit. Now, before I go into the rest of Matthew chapter 5, let me hit this real quick, okay? There are 3 realms in this world that everybody must play a role in, or has a part or an obligation to be a type of person in these 3 areas. The first area or role or realm that we're in is our family. When I was born, almost 60 years ago, I was born into the Baisden family. I have responsibilities and obligations to my family. Jesus would say, or Jesus would instruct Paul to say, if a man doesn't work, neither should he eat. He that will not support his family is worse than an infidel and hath denied the faith. Jesus expects men to go out and work and earn a living to provide for their families. We have obligations in our family role. The second institution that we are born into when we're born physically is our nation. I was born, I became a citizen of the United States of America at my birth. Are you listening to me? I have obligations there. Jesus said, give that which is Caesar's unto Caesar, and that which is God's unto God. So I owe something to my government, don't I? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I owe them their due. If there's a war and they start up a draft, I owe them, I'm obligated, I'm obliged to go and fight in the war. I owe that to my government. I am a citizen of the United States of America. I'm a citizen of my family. But now watch it now carefully, folks. If you are God's, if you are faithful, if you are a Christian, now you have a spiritual role and a spiritual obligation to the kingdom of Christ. In one area, in one realm, I must fight physically. If someone were to break into my home to try to hurt me or my family, I would fight them physically and I would deter it. And even if need be, I would kill the intruder in order to protect my family, my property, and myself. That's what I would do. But in the kingdom of Christ, I would not fight it physically. That's a spiritual battle. That one, I'm turning the other cheek to. What do you mean? How can you turn the other cheek? Well, it's just like the idea of heaven and earth passing. It's a spiritual application. All throughout Matthew 5, Jesus is correcting the physical Jewish application of the Old Covenant, and he's telling them that they've missed it and that these things are spiritual. For example, if a man looks upon a woman and lusts after her in his own heart, he hath already committed adultery with her in his heart. Oh, adultery's taken place? Yeah, in the heart, spiritually. The physical role did not take place, but when you're lusting in your heart with God, he knows it and it's true and it's real. That's Matthew chapter 5, beginning right around 27. All throughout this chapter, he's straightening out their misapplication and their misunderstanding of the Old Covenant. And he comes all the way down. He enters into divorce and remarriage. He enters into making these oaths. He's talking about all these different things. And then he gets down to verse number 38 in Matthew chapter 5. Now, I want you to listen. And remember now, he's telling them, don't make these things physical. Make these things spiritual. Are you listening, children? Jesus said, "Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth." Okay, that's Exodus 21. Yep, we've heard it. "But I say unto you, that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have the other cloak also. And whosoever shall be compelled to go a mile, go with him twain. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn not thou away." Now, Jesus isn't saying, whenever anybody wants to borrow something from you, hey, I need to borrow your wife. Okay, here you go, pal. I can't turn you down. Jesus said, if any man wants to borrow anything from me, you can have it. So here, take my old lady. You think that's what Jesus is saying? Oh, you want my house? Okay, go ahead. I don't have a right to a home now. Oh, you want my food? I can't feed my family. You want to feed yours? I can't say no. Jesus said so. Oh, you want to punch me in the face? Go ahead. Here, hit the other cheek too. That makes no sense physically. None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. But when you look at these things spiritually, now all of a sudden, these things make perfect sense. Somebody wants to harm you spiritually, and they're doing whatever they want to do to you spiritually. Turn the other cheek. Let them hit the other. They're not knocking you down. They're not stopping you. They're not hurting you. They're not killing you. Hey, my faith is strong. My God is real. You want to try to attack Christianity? Bring it, buddy. Bring your best shot. Bring forth your strong reason, saith the King of Jacob. Produce your cause, saith the Lord. Bring forth your strong reason, saith the King of Jacob. You want to hit me spiritually? You want to knock me down spiritually? Go for it. Here's the other cheek. That's the idea. That's the idea. When Jesus sent his disciples out, he told them, let me read it to you. Let me read you what he said to them in John chapter 18. And I'm going a little slow because I forgot my reading glasses and my Bible has small print. So as I'm reading these things, please bear with me. In John chapter 18, verse number 10, the Bible says, Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant. Oh, that's the wrong passage. I want to go to Luke 22. I'm going to come back to Peter cutting off the ear of the soldier. But before I do that, let me go to Luke 22. In Luke 22, verse 36. My apologies. I had my notes backwards this morning. Luke 22, 36, 35, and 36. And he said unto them, When I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, lacked ye anything? And they said, Nothing. Then said he unto them, But now he that hath a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip, And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. Oh, but Jesus, I got to turn the other cheek. Oh, I can't have a sword. I might hurt somebody with it. Oh, you think? You think Jesus had them sell their garments to buy a sword so they could have shish kebab at a campfire while they're singing Kumbaya at night? Or do you think he had them buy a sword to protect themselves, to protect their friends, to deter their enemies, to protect their belongings and their goods? Which is it? In fact, now let's go to John chapter 18. Here we see Peter using one of the swords that they bought or they had. Peter literally is wielding a physical sword here. In John chapter 18, verse 10, then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Then said Jesus unto Peter, put up thy sword into the sheath. The cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? Notice something particular here. Number one, Peter had a sword. He had been with Jesus for over 3 years. Jesus told him to buy one. Oh, okay. Peter's a Jew. He's got this Jewish mindset, this Jewish mentality. He's looking at things more carnal. Peter had a bad problem with doing this all throughout the ministry of Jesus. He's looking at things carnally. Even when he's told to go to the Gentiles, he's looking at it carnally. In Acts chapter 10, at any rate, Jesus told me to buy a sword. I got a sword. I'm going to defend my Lord. He pulls the sword. He cuts the ear of Malchus off. What are you doing with the sword, Peter? Well, Jesus told me to buy it. So what happened after he cut Malchus's ear off? Jesus didn't say, Peter, don't you know that's for shish kebabs? Don't you know that we're going to use that tonight in the campfire while we sing Kumbaya? And we hold hands and we'll just drift back and forth in a utopian fake atmosphere, and then we won't have to worry about enemies and thieves and, oh no, the sword is for shish kebab. Jesus told him, put the sword back into the sheath. Now is not the time for this. I have to drink the cup that my Father sent me to drink. I've got to be arrested. They're going to kill me physically. He's also going to die spiritually on the cross. He gives all. He pays all. His soul, Isaiah 53, was made an offering for sin. His soul, his soul, his soul. The wages of sin is death, not physical, spiritual. At any rate, Jesus tells Peter, Peter, put your sword into the sheath. He didn't say, throw that sword away. You can't fight. He didn't say what he'd do with that. He didn't say it's for shish kebab. He didn't say, Peter, go sell it and get rid of it. You shouldn't have it. He said, put it back into the sheath. Put it back into the scabbard. You take care of that sword. Put it on your side. Keep it. But just this, right now is not the time for this. That's what Jesus is saying there. So many people run to these passages and they go, oh, look, Jesus told him he healed the ear of Malchus and he put it back and he rebuked Peter. Well, yes, he gave Peter a mild rebuke, not for using the sword physically, but for the occasion of when he used it. Jesus told him, I have to be arrested, I have to go, and I have to die. This is not the time to fight this fight. Rest assured, had these been burglars coming to rob and maim the disciples, that's what that sword was for. Jesus would have never rebuked them for that. Now, let me give you that. Might as well. We're in the middle of this. Acts chapter 10. Cornelius is a captain in the Italian army. Okay. He sees a vision. He sees the Lord. He sees an angel. He calls him Lord. He says, what should I do? And the Lord says, you send to Joppa. You send to Caesarea. Joppa. Send to Joppa for one named Peter. Tell him to come, and Peter's going to tell you words whereby when you hear, you can be saved by these words. Okay. So Cornelius sends people to go get Peter, and they go and they get Peter. Peter reluctantly comes, but he'd just seen a vision from the Lord where the Lord had said that he's cleansing the Gentiles also, and Peter couldn't refuse that. So Peter reluctantly comes with Cornelius' men who was sent to get him, and he comes to Cornelius. Now remember, this angel, which Cornelius calls Lord, said, Peter's going to tell you everything you need to know about what to do to be saved. Okay. Who is Cornelius? A captain in the Italian army. A captain in the Italian army? Yeah. Did Peter ever tell him, you got to quit your commission? You can't be a captain. Peter ever tell him, hey, you can stay a captain. You just can never tell your men to draw the sword because you're Christian. No. Nothing like that was ever said to him. Ever, never, ever. In fact, in Romans chapter 13, it says that the government wields not the sword in vain, and there is a time and a place for the sword. And if you're working for the government, you have a right to the sword, to wield it for the purpose of good for the civil society, and it must be used. Romans 13. Cornelius was doing that very thing. Don't use your sword, Cornelius. No. He was a captain. He stayed a captain. He had a commission as a captain. He was told to be baptized. Can any man forbid water that these should be baptized, like as us we? And he commanded them to be baptized. Acts chapter 10, I believe it's about verse 37. He told him what to do to be saved. Never told him to hang up the sword. Never told him to quit his commission. Never told him how evil he was for being this bad captain in the Italian army. No, and again, no. And oh, by the way, Romans chapter 13, the famous chapter everybody likes to go to, and they say, oh, we got to obey the government. Oh, and hang on. Now, first of all, number one, I don't want to lose target of where I'm at here in the conversation. Let me go there first. In Romans 13, the Bible there says that the government has the right and the authority of God to wield the sword, and it doesn't wield it in vain against evil. Note it, against evil. Not the other way around. So let's have a scenario here for a minute. You're at home. You're a Christian. You don't believe in owning a gun because you're so holy, and Christ told you told Peter to throw away his sword, according to you, even though Christ instructed him to buy it and then put it properly into its sheath. But you're a better Christian than Christ knows how to direct, and you're not going to do anything like that. So if somebody's breaking into your house, it's 3 a.m. So what do, you good Christian? Oh, you get out your cell phone and you call the police, 911. Can I help you? Somebody's breaking into my house. Send the police fast. Okay, what's your address? 123 ABC Street. Okay, we're going to send the police out there immediately. Thank you, I need help. He's coming through the window now. I need help, fast. The police arrive 3, 4, 5, 8 minutes later. The police see the burglar. They see him through the window. He has a gun pointed at your head. He's threatening you and your children. The police officer takes it upon himself to save you and your family, and he immediately pulls his pistol from his side and he shoots the burglar in the head because he knew the burglar was going to harm you and kill you and your family. So he shoots the burglar. And you immediately thank him. Thank you, good sir. You know what you just did? By proxy, you squeezed that trigger. By proxy. You gave somebody your approval, proxy, to do something for you that needed to be done. That's what proxy means. Come help me. Save me and my family. Even if you have to kill the intruder, please do it. You might as well have pulled the trigger yourself because you gave them the authority by proxy to handle the situation. You did it. You're the one who ultimately killed the intruder. If you really believed that you shouldn't bear a sword, you would never even call the police. Ever. For any reason. You would never, ever want an army. Ever. For any reason. You wouldn't want jail cells or all kinds of things because we can't harm anybody. We're Christians. Does that make any sense, people? Why don't you people wake up? What's wrong with people today who think somehow that because they believe they're a Christian, they don't even know how to become one, they don't know how to act as they are one, they don't know what the responsibilities and their obligations, and even if they do, they don't comply? I know that for a fact because we can't get more than 40 people to come to church with us here in Ludington. And I know thousands are in this community, and thousands should be, but they won't, and they don't. Well, they got bigger, important things to do. Like what? Well, I'm too busy messing up Matthew 18, thinking I got church services at home. Or I'm too busy messing up John chapter 18, telling Peter to throw his sword away. Or I'm too busy saying turn the other cheek. I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, but I'm a good little Christian. And meanwhile, evil's prevailing. Good people are doing nothing. Jesus said you can know them by their fruits. If there's somebody out there doing wrong and doing bad and doing evil, don't we have a Christian obligation to stop it? If people are being murdered, if pedophilia is taking place, little children are being abused, if abortions are happening, don't we have the obligation to step in and stop these atrocities? How you gonna do it? If you don't wield the sword, how you gonna do it? You can't do it. Here, I got a recommendation. An epiphany, it just hit me, I got it. Oh. Hey, the next time a burglar breaks into your home, okay, are you listening? There's two of them. One of them's got a gun to your head, and the other one's abusing your 4-year-old child in the bedroom. You're all gonna die after they're done abusing you. Right in the middle of that, here's a great idea. You start telling them what Jesus would do in that situation while they're doing it, and see how good you do. See how well you come out in this situation. Go ahead. You think God wants your family to be harmed? That, and you sit back and listen. I'm telling you right here, right now. If you sit back and you allow that to happen, you are no Christian. You're no friend of mine. You're not an American. You're not even a person. You're a thing. You're an it. You're an animal. You're lower than the low. What's the Christian responsibility during times of physical altercation? What is it? Good morning, caller. You're on Live with Steve. Go ahead, Tim. Hey, good, buddy. Speak up a little loudly, please.
Okay, how's that?
Much better, thank you.
Doesn't it say somewhere in the Bible, I think it's the Old Testament, I'm not for sure this morning, that if you do not defend your family, or you sell your child to Moloch, the evil one, let them be killed, that you are going to the same place that the evil ones are? Take your answer off the air.
Thank you, Tim.
Great program, dude. Glad you're back.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. It's good to be back. Good to be back. Let me go to Leviticus chapter 20 for you, Tim. If you're there, buddy, pull out your Bible. Leviticus chapter 20 is the place where I'd like to go. Leviticus chapter 20. Let's begin. Verse number 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. So somebody going to give their seed to Molech. Now Molech was a Canaanite, Ammonite, false god, God with a lower G, and they would have human sacrifices. They would take their babies and they would offer them to the god of Molech and kill their babies in a sacrificial offering to this false god. So God tells Moses, you tell the people, anybody does that, they're to be stoned. The people of Israel will stone them. Now listen carefully, children. Listen to verse 3. Are you listening? And I will set my face against that man. God says, I'll set my face against that man that offers his children, is doing this evil thing, and I will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary, to profane my holy name. Now listen, here it is. Here it is, Tim. And if the people of the land do anyways hide their eyes from the man, when he giveth his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a whoring after him to commit whoredoms with Molech from among their people. Did you get that? God said, if there's a man offering his children unto sacrifice to their God, if you turn your head from it and you ignore it, God said, I'll even set my face against that man and his family, and I'll cut them off. They have a responsibility to the civil society. They have a responsibility to their nation. They have a responsibility to their neighbors, to their family, to their God. You see evil. You know how many times I talk to people in the world today about homosexuality, about abortion, about all these wicked, evil things that are going on? Well, I'm not doing it. It's really none of my business. I can't get involved. He that turns his head away from the sin, God said, I'll even set my face against that man. You can't turn your... That's Obadiah chapter 1, verse 11. In the day you saw your enemy come in against the city, and you didn't help the city defend itself, you're as guilty as those that did it. That's what he's saying right here with this. Excuse me. Our God, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews chapter 13. Anybody ever hear that? The principles, these ethical, moral principles of God are set forth eternally. God expects his people to be a righteous people, and the only way you can be righteous is to do right things. That's how we can determine, by the way, who you are. We can know them by their fruits, by what they are doing. If you do nothing, you're evil. You're evil. You don't go to church, you're evil. You don't commune every first day of the week like you're supposed to, you're evil. You don't come together and pray, you're evil. You don't support the ministry, you're evil. You don't stand against wickedness in high places, you're evil. Evil, 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 evil. Oh, and what about the man that, we gotta give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. I want to take a moment and I want to explore this for a minute as well, can we? You know, in this new debt ceiling bill that they're trying to pass right now, 3.5 trillion. You know, there's a few things in there. You know, they come out and they're going to follow the science now. They're going to say we need $3.5 trillion to raise the debt ceiling, and we have all these things we want to do with all this money, but it really is going to cost you nothing, zero. So the new science is 3.5 trillion equals zero. Does that make sense to anybody? know how many people are swallowing that hook, line, and sinker? But within this package, this bill, there's something in there called a per mile tax. Per mile tax. It's proposed right now that it's going to be about 8 cents per mile. So whether you're in a position and you're retired, if you don't even have to file your tax return because your income's so low and you're on Social Security, some people don't have to do that right now. If you drive, you're going to have to do that, and you're going to have to report every mile you drove, and then you're going to have to pay 8 cents per mile. So me personally, I average with my secular work and the ministerial work that I do and everything, I average about 24,000 miles a year. 24,000 miles a year. That means at the end of the year, I got to pay an extra $2,000 if this thing goes through. $2,000. So recently, I've made the comment and I've said things like, I don't know that I'm going to pay my taxes anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm tired. I'm done. I mean, why should I pay taxes to an evil entity that wants to tell me not to go to church? Oh, and if I do, they're going to arrest me and prosecute me, and I can't breathe fresh air, and I can't help my neighbor, and I can't go to work, and I got to do exactly what, and I got to get vaccinated, why should I support that? So immediately somebody says, you're supposed to be a Christian. You got to pay your taxes. Give unto Caesar, therefore, that which is Caesar's, and unto God that which is God's. Oh, really? Let's take a look at that for a moment. Jesus said, show me the coin. They came to him, should we pay tax to Caesar? You know, this is a big deal back then, too, because a lot of people were saying we shouldn't be supporting Caesar. Big question of the day. Big debating about it. Well, let's ask Jesus. In fact, this is a question we haven't been able to answer properly. Let's get Jesus hung up on this, and then we can condemn him for whatever he says. So, Jesus, should we pay tax to Caesar? Show me the coin. They pull out a coin. Whose inscription's on it? Caesar's. Well, it belongs to Caesar then. Let me ask you right now. Pull a couple bills out of your wallet. Whose inscription on it? Benjamin Franklin? Jefferson? Lincoln, maybe. George Washington. Give it to them. Oh, they're dead. Wait a minute. How's that work? Number one. This is explained in Romans chapter 13 by the Apostle Paul. And he said they had to respect the authorities that existed then, meaning the Roman government, because of the wrath God was going to be bringing upon Israel through the nation of Rome. That's exactly what Paul implied in Romans chapter 13. That's the purpose of them paying that money. Number two, Romans 13 says that the government is to be a worker of good, thwarting the evil. Our government is not. Our government is the opposite of that. Number three, our government is not the current administration. It's not the Senate. It's not the Congress. It's not the president. It's not the judges, the Supreme Court. It's our Constitution. It's our law. That is our government. It's of the people, by the people, for the people. Our original laws never intended there to be an income tax on the people. Never. Our original laws thwarted that whole idea. They saw what had happened through the King of England and what had happened, and we went to war over it. Taxation without representation, which, by the way, is what I have right now. I have taxation without representation. Steve, yeah, you can go hire an attorney. You can give you representation. No. You don't understand. When they made the vote fraudulent, and who I voted for no longer has access to convey my view of things, I no longer have proper representation and the authority of our nation. It's gone. But they're taxing me to death. It's taxation without representation. I believe in paying taxes to the government that is willing for good, not evil. Romans 13. Rome was bidding God's will and preparing for a war against Israel at that time because Israel had become so wicked, God was going to destroy them. And Paul says it was necessary for them to pay the tax at that time for that purpose in Romans chapter 13. Don't tell me about things that you have no clue about. It won't work. It will not work. Not with me. Not going to happen. Listen to me carefully, friends. Listen to me carefully. I don't want to be this way. I would rather take my sword and cook shish kebab with it and sing around the campfire. I would rather do that. But when things are forced upon me, I will take my sword and I will not wield it in vain. God's will be done. Righteousness will prevail. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I hope you understand it clearly. I had one preacher, quote unquote preacher, say to me, we were talking about these things on Facebook. And he says, "Hey, Steve, I supported Biden. I voted for him. You're telling me you would shoot me? You would shoot me because I voted for Biden?" I responded back, if it comes to a point of a revolution and there's a literal war going on, the evil of Biden against the good of those that are trying to keep God's morals, and there's a literal revolution, a literal war, where there is a literal physical confrontation, I will put one right between your eyes, and I won't think twice about it. Oh, I can't believe you're supposed to be a Christian. Yeah, you are too. Why are you supporting abortion and homosexuality? Increased taxes, open borders. Why are you wanting the greed? Why are you wanting the lust? Why are you wanting the lying and the deceit and the wickedness and the idolatry and the pedophilia? And don't talk to me about being a Christian. Not you. Not. Are you kidding me? Supporting something like that? Turn around, questioning my Christianity? Yeah. I don't think so. You might get away with that kind of ignorance with other people who doesn't know any better. But you're not going to get away with that with somebody that knows the Bible better than you do. Oh, Basin, you think you know it all? Nope, I don't think I know it all. No, sir. But I know who has all the answers. Yeah, the one who gave us the Bible. And the Bible has all the answers. For anything I need to know religiously, it has the answers. The correct answers, if we will study it and we will rightly divide it and we understand. We have to understand, people. Jesus said, if my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight. Okay. Jesus has servants in his kingdom. I'm not going to fight in the kingdom of Christ physically. But I'm also a servant in a physical realm under my physical government, which is the Constitution. We have a constitutional republic. That's our governing factor. And anybody trying to thwart that and replace our God-given rights with tyrannical, evil, supplant, so however you want to say it, not going to stand for it. No. No, sir, no, ma'am. Not going to happen. That's why our founding fathers recognized our right to bear arms. And our right to bear arms, it's not so that we have them so we can go hunting. So that we can thwart an evil government based upon Christian morals and ethics. People can be extremely evil in this world, and people are. And unless we're prepared to stand against it, we're just going to be victims of it, and the world's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. If you are sick and tired of the fake Christianity that's in the world today, there's a solution. There's a real church in this area. And we have people that drive here from up in Brethren. We have a family in Brethren that makes it every Sunday. We have people that come here from Muskegon Heights every Sunday. We have people that come here from Broman every Sunday. Don't tell me, oh, I live in Hart. Oh, I live in Manistee. Don't tell me you live so far away you can't make it. You know, people of the first century, they would do anything to get to church. They would get on the donkeys. They would walk during the winter, during the cold, miles. You get in your heated car and you drive comfortably, listen to the radio, and you complain, oh, I can't do that. No. There's a real church. There's a real substantive church in this area. One that teaches the truth on Christianity, how to become a Christian. Jesus said, he that believeth and is baptized shall be saved. He that believeth not shall be damned. Mark 16. Peter said, baptism doth also now save us. Now, there's so many people thinking they were saved before they were baptized. They're thinking baptism is just an outward sign of an inward grace. Or this is the time I want the world to know. I'm going to announce to the world that I have been saved, so I want to get baptized for that purpose. No. Wrong. Paul said there's only one baptism that God will respect. And those who were baptized in Acts chapter 19 had to be rebaptized a second time because they did not have a proper understanding of it the first time. If you've been baptized thinking you're saved before, you just got wet. It's not a real baptism. You're not even a Christian yet. Oh, but I believe. Yeah, the devils believe and tremble. Merry Christmas. That won't help you. Faith without works is dead, being alone. Man must be born again of the water and of the Spirit. The water must bear witness, 1 John chapter 5, verse 8. If you want a church that understands and knows the Bible a little bit better, much better, a lot better than where you're going now, come on and visit with us. And I don't know everything, but I do know this. If I don't know something we're discussing or you have a question about or comment about, I'll tell you. I need to study that. I'm not sure. Anybody that knows me has heard me say that before because it happens. I don't know everything. But I'm not going to speak and give you my opinion on something when it could lead you to the wrong way. I'll refrain from that until I know better. I've learned my lessons through the years. I've taught things in the past that were not proper, that were not right, that I've had to back up on. I've had to change my view on. And that's taught me to be more careful before I go shooting off my mouth. And I'm here to tell you right now, Jesus said he would build his church, and there's only one of them, and it's the one that preaches and teaches the truth. In 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 15, the Apostle Paul said, if I tarry long, that you may know how you ought to behave yourself in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and the ground of the truth. That's how you can identify the church of the Bible, the one that preaches the truth. The one that understands what worship is, how it's conducted, what we're to do, baptism, salvation, how to wield the sword, how not to wield the sword. So much there, so much here. We've got about 5 minutes. Let me give you our contact information because without that, we can't get together and study, and that's what we want to do. We want to get together with you. We want to study these things. We want to look at these things. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm not going to give you what I think, what I feel, what I assume. I will give you book, chapter, and verse in context for everything, to the very best of my ability. If I am mistaken, if I miss something, I'll back up, I'll apologize, I'll repent, I'll get right. No matter what, it's going to be good. But I ask that of you as well. Would you do that? Are you that kind of person? We're never going to help our society. We're never going to help our nation until we start putting God first. Jesus said it. People, does this matter to you? Jesus said, seek ye first the the kingdom of God and his righteousness, then all these other things will be added unto you. Too many people thinking the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, thinking they're being of God, thinking they're doing God's will, but in reality they are not. You need to keep studying, you need to keep seeking, and I'm here to help to the best of my ability. Because I love you, because I care, because I'm concerned, because I love our nation, because I love our God. I'm the minister with the Church of Christ. We meet at 3816 West Fountain Road, 3816 West Fountain Road, Ludington, Michigan, 49431. 10:30 for Bible studies, 11:30 for church worship. Everybody's invited. Come on out. Leave your money at home. We're not interested in that. Bring your hearts. Bring your Bibles. Bring your thinking caps. If you don't have a Bible, we'll give you one. I know I say that a lot, but you know, those of you who listen to this program, you know I never ask for a penny. I never ask you to donate. I don't have things for sale. In fact, I'm always trying to give you help and offer things to you. It's not about that with us. It's not about that. It's about honesty and truth, godliness and righteousness. That's what it's about. My phone number is 231-425-6044. That's 231-425-6044. You can find us on the internet at www.churchofchristluddington.com. That's www.churchofchristluddington.com. We're on YouTube. Google my name, or in the YouTube search bar, type in Steve Baisden, that's Baisden, and then type in As It Is Written. You'll find our YouTube account there, where this program today that we just did should be uploading right now to YouTube. You can watch it, you can pause it, you can study it, you can share it. You have all that information. You can text me. I'm here. I'm getting a lot of texts right now, in fact. Love you all. Appreciate you all. I'm out of gas. I'm out of steam for this morning. I hope you all got something out of it. I did. I have. I love these studies, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Or come visit, even better yet. I'd like to meet you. My phone number, 231-425-6044. Hey, Ronnie, you ready to shut the... Yep, y'all have a good day.